Hi guys, have a great Saturday. I hope everybody's having a good weekend. Hi Marcus, how's everything on your end?
Hi, Amos. I'm good. I'm sorry that I was not with you last week, but yeah, we celebrated my girlfriend's birthday, and of course, in a very small circle. And well, I'm back, and well, I can only repeat myself just as nearly every week. What a week again, right? Um, yeah, we saw brutal attacks on 6 Asian women
Yeah.
and two non-Asian people, to say it like this. Um, well, which leaves me speechless, and about not only about the crime itself, but about how it was proceeded by the law enforcement. But we'll come to this a little bit later. Well, you see the card, also a discussion point a little bit later about certain people involved in this, having official positions. Well, we will discuss this. Well, let's have a look at. Oh, first, let's look who is around. And I see until now there's only Bill Gabriel around and Dan McCartney, at least in the chat. Well, I hope the others are not around and joined the worldwide coronavirus protests, as it happens here in Germany also, and I saw also in London. I don't know how it is in America. Hey, Juliet Nickel, hi. And well, I think there will more and more dropping by when we go on. Amos, let's have a look at the card. What we have today.
All right. Well, we have basically a bad day in Georgia.
Yeah.
Well, we've heard about the news, and we'll go a little bit more in depth into that. We have small hole, not mend, big hole, eat hardship, and I'll explain about that a little later in the show. We have AOC's eggs. We have May Gen X save us, and we're all hoping for salvation here.
Yes, exactly. And we have some shortcuts, of course. Well, let's talk about the incidents in Georgia and Atlanta. And it was the place was Cherokee, right, where this happened. And well, as we learned, there was a 20-year-old assassinator who went to a first massage parlor, and I think there he killed four Asian women. Then he moved on and killed another two in two different massage parlors, and well, the police arrived and he got arrested. And well, in the interview later, when the press came and wanted to be informed about what happened there, we got a very strange police officer there with a very strange of describing what happened. And Amos, if you be so kind and roll the clip, please.
He'll be doing.
Sheriff, did you have the sense that he understood the gravity of what he did?
I spoke with investigators, they interviewed him this morning, and they got that impression that yes, he understood the gravity of it, and he was pretty much fed up and kind of at the end of his rope, and yesterday was a really bad day for him, and this is what he did.
Remorseful?
I'm not going to go to. I don't know if he was remorseful or not.
He's a pretty young guy. Was he a student? Does he live with his parents?
He's 21 years of age. It's my understanding he does not live with his parents. I don't know who he was living with at the time of this incident. I'm not aware of that either. That's some of the things.
Okay, I think we can stop it here. Well, the original quote was he was pretty much fed up and kind at the end of his rope. Yesterday was a really bad day for him, and that's what he did. Well, this is the explanation, and I wonder if the police would come with the same explanation if it was a non-white guy who did this. And I think it's a very strange kind of take of the actions, of the horrible actions, and it shows to me to a certain point that some or many police departments until today don't know how to deal with those situations. There's no sign I see from being trained, you know, psychologically trained, especially, you know. And what's more concerning is, and we talked about this very often, that it seems to be always the same characters, you know, who more proportionally than in other professions, are finding themselves in the police, you know. And it did not take long when someone in social media checked this guy, you know, due to, regarding his strange comments on this, you know, that it was like, okay, it just happened, and okay, bad day, you know. And they found out that this guy, and this is why we put the card like it is, that he is selling merch with anti-COVID-19 messages. One of them is the imported virus from China, you know, exactly the stuff, you know, the Trump gang was proclaiming since COVID existed, you know. It is clear, it is a clear message. It is a clear anti-Asian message, you know, and you cannot talk it away. And this guy is not only his opinion he's putting there, he's also making money out of it, you know. And when I read what the sheriff of Cherokee, Sheriff Frank Reynolds, said in an interview later, he completely avoided the China merch story around what was his name, Jeff Baker, or what was his name? I don't know exactly right now. Jay Baker. He left it completely unanswered, you know, and he only came up in as much as his words were taken or construed as insensitive or inappropriate. They were not intended to disrespect any of the victims, the gravity of the strategy, or express empathy or respect for the subjects. And then he excused him. Baker had a difficult task before him, you know, one of the hardest in his 28 years in law enforcement. And he has personal ties to the Asian community. Of course, somehow he's ties to the Asian community. He's doing anti-Asian merch. This is also kind of connection you can have, right? And well, it is. I think it is absolutely unacceptable for anyone to tolerate this, you know. And we are seeing a clip right now where a woman nails it, you know. And when I did the research yesterday, I also find another clip, but it came from CNN, and I don't know in how far we are restricted to use these clips. But it shows surveillance cameras, and it showed, I think, 9 or 10 attacks on Asian people out of nowhere, for just that they are Asian, that they're Asian looking, at least, you know. And everything has to do with the latest defamation of Trump. In many ways, we remember the Kung Flu virus, the China stuff, and the Wuhan. He ridiculed the people where he could, you know, and he made them small. And yeah, it is easy for those people who eat these messages from Trump, you know, who internalize these messages, and it's easy to find someone weak to beat on them. And well, there was one in the CNN video. There was one incident, very brutal. There was one black man, I think he was in his 50s. He was attacked by a guy with a cutter knife, something you cut carpets into pieces with, and he was hit across the face out of nowhere. And this you cannot accept this. But it's not only the things, you know, where brutal attacks are happening. It is also the fears, the deep sitting fears in the people. And for this, there's one example we would like to show you right now, is this lady here, and listen what she has to say, please.
He was having a bad day. He was having a bad day. Oops. And 6 Asian women just happened to be collateral damage because this stupid animal had a bad day. What is this fucking fascination with protecting the futures of psychopathic white men? What is it? Why is that grace extended to every school shooter, to every club shooter, to every serial shooter, of which they're all pretty much all white, by the way? Why is that grace always extended to these monsters? But I can't go jogging in my neighborhood without being terrified. I was terrified. I am terrified to send my Filipino husband out for groceries. I tell him to cover his eyes with sunglasses so that they cannot tell that he is Asian. He was having a bad day. How dare you? You trivialize the lives of people of color all the time for doing the most trivial things. We are killed, and you say that we should have known better, we should have complied, we just shouldn't have been breaking the law. Even if the law is literally just selling counterfeit bills. But these motherfuckers can murder us, and they are taken in with fuzzy mittens and then given the benefit of the doubt while their hands are still wet with the blood that they spilt. What is this fascination with protecting the reputation of white men, no matter how psychopathic they may be?
Yeah, I think it's an important point, and I was talking with Erica, my girlfriend, yesterday about this, and I said, and I asked her, do you remember from the last couple of years at least of a non-white attacker? I did not. Maybe you, Amos. I can't remember that there was an Asian guy coming to a school and killing children, or a black guy, or a Hispanic guy. I don't see it. I can't remember it. It seems to be always the same, the same procedure, the same. Yeah, the same people. The same race, if you want to.
Yeah, it appears, and that's also very common to serial killers. For whatever reason, it's very strange, but almost all serial killers were white Caucasians. So
yes, yeah, and there's another very important point she brings there, and this is also something which we heard when we remember. It is very comparable to what is happening in the black community, right? I remember when I saw a clip. It was about Jesse Ventura, and he had a dinner with a friend. The friend is black, and Jesse Ventura had the dinner at his home, and he invited his friend. And when it got late, his friend said, "Okay, I gotta leave now. I gotta head home." And Jesse Ventura accompanied his friend to his car. And he was noticing that his friend was grabbing for his driver's license, for his legitimations, for any papers, everything, and he was putting everything carefully on the dashboard, and Jesse Ventura was asking him, "Why are you doing this?" And his friend was turning around and told him, "Well, I'm black, and in case I got pulled out by police, I don't want to give them any incident, that they could kill me." And then it made click. at Jesse Ventura, when he realized that you can be in a very strange kind. You can be racist as a white man without maybe feeling racist, but it's because you don't have to worry about all the stuff, other minorities in this country have to worry about. I don't know any white family, who has a serious talk with their children when they are in their teenage years, how to behave when the police is around. But this is common in the black community, for example. And if you listen to this woman that she's afraid to send her husband out for groceries, that she tells him that she has to cover his eyes, because otherwise he would be identified to be of Asian origin. This is crazy. This is crazy, and even more is that at least all the minorities combined, they are the majority in the country. And well, I don't know where it leads. Maybe with all the tragic around it, with all the loss and all the unnecessary victims in it, maybe there's an approach between those minorities, but that maybe the blacks and the Asian community gets closer together. The Hispanic community, comes with them. This would be an enormous political power for change. And well, the topic around racism and which is indeed, of course, we did not mention this explicitly. This is, of course, a racist crime, which was also put in doubt somehow by the police. They said they have no incident. He didn't say it was not racially intended, but well, and it doesn't matter what he says. The deeds speak for themselves. And it was racist, of course. And, well, talking about racism, and Amos will go on right now, this is only one form of racism, especially what the Asian community concerns. And Amos, please go on, tell us about it.
Well, basically, I wanted to expand that whole thing, connect the dots, because there's a wider context for all of this. And I'll start with this proverb by... it's a Chinese proverb saying, it says, small hole, not mend, big hole, eat. That's the literal translation. But what it loosely translates to, if small holes are not plugged, bigger holes will cause hardship.
Yeah.
I think it's something like Jiao Dong Bu Da Dong Shiku. I'm probably totally botched it, but that's the thing. And I think the issue has been that when these issues of racism, even in terms of connotation, even in terms of stereotyping, is allowed to propagate, it balloons and results in the kind of tragedies that we see blow up eventually, like this shooting. And it's let's talk about what's been happening in the last period of time. There was all during COVID, due to all the talks about China being the culprit for the flu, and somehow like making it like something that they're to blame for. The incidence of crimes against Asians has grown manifold, and it's now been, especially in California, there's been 1,600 Asians who reported of attacks. And the thing to remember here is that a lot of Asians are afraid to report. They're not necessarily reporting those things, so the actual numbers are probably much higher than this. In the whole country, has been like I believe something like 3,600 cases in the last year alone, and that is very alarming. It's not a new thing. Asian in general, Asians have been scapegoated and been there's been overt racism against them for quite a while. There was open caricatures that were kind of legitimate. People were seeing that as a fine thing to laugh at, and behind us we see an example of one such caricature, clearly exaggerating the Asian features and so forth.
But I'm sorry, but this you can explain, because this is why I have sometimes problems to follow with the cancel culture discussion. You gotta put yourself into the time, and if you look today, we have internet, we are connected worldwide. We know much more of each other in every corner of the world than it was 100, 200 years ago, or maybe 80 years ago, 70 years ago, and of course you have a certain imagination, and as long as you don't have any facts, you make up your mind. You have a certain imagination of things, especially if they are not common to you, if they are unusual, and you know how the human mind works. You put it in drawers. You put things into pieces, and then you put it in the drawer where it fits the most. From this context, those caricatures are explainable, but with the knowledge of today, of course, you cannot digest them.
They're explainable, but nevertheless, they were racist at the time as well. It's just that nobody was recognizing it openly. And that's basically boomers and Gen Xers were growing up on these images, and I remember I've been exposed to them as well.
Me too. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, clearly, and that is why it's so important to recognize that today, when boomers say that it's blame it on cancel culture, it's basically to say, leave us alone, let us still enjoy the comfortable view of life that we've had, that we've been accustomed to, and put it as, just don't touch it. And you can't do that. Here's a caricature of Dr. Seuss, and that's why his publication has finally removed certain things from the selection. Here's a caricature that he published. I believe it was 42. In regards to Japanese allegiance, and here there's a person giving out bricks of TNT to gazillions of Japanese along the U.S. coast, lining up to get message from the homeless, signal from home, in order to act on behalf of Japan. So this was propagating kind of a fifth column idea, and this is Dr. Seuss, and he's not only done this, his caricatured Chinese and Asian people in a kind of like a flat kind of comic way, which they called them Chinamen, and this is something that he went in 78 later in and tried to airbrush. He changed the tone of their skin. He removed their in his older caricatures, he removed their pigtail, and he's even changed their, wherever it says Chinamen, to Chinese men. But that didn't really fix the problem, because the problem is the caricaturization, not the details of it. So this has been a long history, and we've seen here that during the pandemic, Trump has used his bully pulpit to promote hatred towards China and as a proxy towards Asian Americans. Obviously, that projects forward, and he's called it the China virus, the Kung flu, and then we wonder how we got to the point where Asians are being blamed for it and being attacked on the street. And it's clearly a connection between COVID and what has happened. So Trump has definitely had an impact on what has been happening. He's kind of like nurtured this hate crime and racist perceptions, and he has quite green thumbs where it comes to that.
Yes, unfortunately.
Yeah, so he had his role, but the attack that we've seen in the spa is actually an attack that is due to a different type of racism, and one that has to do more with stereotyping, and that's perhaps more hidden. In the idea of sexualization of women and objectification of Asian women. And this guy, when he went in and shot these women, he said that he was eliminating, his words were, I was eliminating temptations. And we know the stereotype of the Asian women that was propagated, that Asian women are submissive, they're subservient, they're not, and then there is the whole genre of like Asian prostitutes, where it came to American involvement in the Far East.
Hold on. It happened. As a matter of fact, it happened quite earlier. I think it happened in the 19th century already. When I think it were when the Chinese in America, there were the women at least were labeled to be prostitutes, because there was for some political. Instances, I don't know exactly why they were forbidden to come to America, and those who were already been there, they were labeled as women as prostitutes.
You're referring to the Page Act, and that was that preceded the Chain Act that was supposed to block Chinese Asian Americans from coming here. But first they attacked the women as a class of prostitutes that are endangering the health of America by bringing in social diseases and so forth.
Yeah.
So yes, absolutely, that is in the DNA of American culture, of associating Asian women with prostitution, and all of this causes this idea of for certain white men of seeing access to Asian women as a privilege or something like that, and this is the context of this shooting.
And don't
so
forget
it's impossible to.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No. Go ahead.
Don't forget how many GIs during the Vietnam Wars, Korean Wars, enjoyed the Asian women, which also emphasized the stereotypes within.
Absolutely, and it's also reinforced by porn. I mean, you can't regulate that, but it is enforced by porn. It's even enforced by Japanese anime. When you look at Japanese anime, how they portray their own females is comes into play with this. But you can definitely not leave it out when you're talking about crime of sex. In this case, like a sexism attack that's motivated by sexism. It has a racial aspect to it, a racial face, and you cannot separate it. And I wished there was more talk of that in the media, but there hasn't been as much. And I if you paid attention to the news this week, Senator Reverend Warlock gave a fantastic speech on the floor of the Senate, which he started with by talking about that attack and sending his condolences, but then he widened the scope, and what he says is pretty interesting. Let's listen to a clip of it. I thought it was worth watching.
And Herman E. Talmadge, both arch segregationists and unabashed adversaries of the civil rights movement. After the Supreme Court's landmark Brown versus Board ruling outlawing school segregation, Talmadge warned that blood will run in the streets of Atlanta. Senator Talmadge's father, Eugene Talmadge, former governor of our state, had famously declared, "The South loves the Negro in his place, but his place is at the back door." When once asked how he and his supporters might keep black people away from the polls, he picked up a scrap of paper and wrote a single word on it: pistols. Yet there is something in the American covenant, in its charter documents, and its Jeffersonian ideals that bends toward freedom. And led by a preacher and a patriot named King, Americans of all races stood up. History vindicated the movement that sought to bring us closer to our ideals, to lengthen and strengthen the cords of our democracy. And I now hold the seat, the Senate seat, where Herman E. Talmadge sat. And that's why I love America. I love America because we always have a path to make it better, to build a more perfect union. It is a place where a kid like me who grew up in public housing, first college graduate in my family, can now stand as a United States Senator. I had an older father. He was born in 1917. Serving in the Army during World War II, he was once asked to give up his seat to a young teenager while wearing his soldier's uniform. They said making the world safe for democracy. But he was never bitter. And by the time I came along, he had already seen the arc of change in our country. He maintained his faith in God and in his family and in the American promise, and he passed that faith on to his children. My mother grew up in Waycross, Georgia. You know where that is? It's way across Georgia. And like a lot of black teenagers in the 1950s, she spent her summers picking somebody else's tobacco and somebody else's cotton. But because this is America, the 82-year-old hands that used to pick somebody else's cotton went to the polls in January and picked her youngest son to be a United States Senator. Ours is a land where possibility is born of democracy. A vote, a voice, a chance to help determine the direction of the country and one's own destiny within it. Possibility born of democracy. That's why this past November and January, my mom and other citizens of Georgia grabbed hold of that possibility and turned out in record numbers, 5 million in November, 4.4 million in January, far more than ever in our state's history. Turnout for a typical runoff doubled. And the people of Georgia sent their first African-American senator and first Jewish senator, my brother John Ossoff, to these hallowed halls. But then what happened? Some politicians did not approve of the choice made by the majority of voters in a hard-fought election in which each side got the chance to make its case to the voters. And rather than adjusting their agenda, rather than changing their message, they are busy trying to change the rules. We are witnessing right now a massive and unabashed assault on voting rights unlike anything we've ever seen since the Jim Crow era. This is Jim Crow in new clothes.
Yeah, so it was pretty powerful speech, and that is the point, that there's amidst this the funny thing is he's saying that he's proud to be and happy to be an American, and because of the fact that there's revenge in that he can become a senator and represent in the same body as those people who horrifically introduced racist laws and tried to put down African Americans. And now, because of democracy, he can. But that is exactly the other side of the coin of it, is that that is why Trump supporters and so many on the far right are opposed to democracy, because democracy allows that to happen, and they don't want that to happen. They don't want people like him to be, like Bolsheviks, black Bolsheviks like him, to be representing them or having any power at all. And so this is exactly what is driving them in the exactly opposite direction, against democracy. And whatever happened in Congress is a reflection of that, of how this is all tied in. There's this idea that if we allow democracy to continue and not figure out ways to undermine it, then we lose power. And so there is this big wave of these laws that are now propagated, even more so than during the Republicans' time. 250 laws, among them one that is making it illegal to serve water or a snack to somebody standing on long lines, that are actually created by the very policies that they are introducing to suppress voting. So can you imagine that if you're standing on line there and somebody brings you water because you're dehydrated, they can be slapped with a crime.
Yeah.
Not even a misdemeanor, a crime. So this is where we are. Yeah.
I think we can put it like this, just like Jesus, who is a white guy. Democracy has to be white. Right?
Yeah. So democracy can only exist if it's white, huh?
Yes.
Yeah.
In their views, of course.
Yeah, of course. But that is exactly the issue here. That these things, these trends are going on all as part of one big context. And it's important to see that as one continuum, not just split it up and separate it. And when you're talking about cancel culture, this is why, first of all, it's not cancel culture. It's addressing specific misrepresentations that have existed in the past. And that is exactly the point. If you don't address those little holes, then we end up with much, much bigger systemic issues in everything from voting to murdering innocent people in a spa and so forth.
Yes, you're right. And I can understand here Mr. Warnick there, right? That he is proud, that he took over the seat of that he wants to be the better guy on the seat, at least, but it doesn't change the institution itself, right? And well, of course he can be proud that he achieved this, but on the other hand, it's, as I said, it's the institution which did not change, and well, yes, exactly what we were talking about, and yeah, talking about cancel culture, this is what happens in the dark, or which is not so reported about,
The cancel culture is against voters. That's the real cancel culture.
No. I think this is I would go so far and say it's a clear tactics by the Republicans, that they are pushing the cancel culture discussion, and to distract from what's going on with the voting rights. If you learn that that people that it should be much more difficult for people to vote by mail, and they still have to go on working day to a poll station, maybe from which maybe only 50% would be opened, for you. And this means you would at least stand the whole day there. Of course, it is only to prevent people from voting.
Right, of course it's a tactic, but what I'm saying is that it's hypocritical because the real cancel culture is against voters, not against cartoon characters.
About this a bit later, yeah.
I mean, that's the painful thing. It's not a cartoon character doesn't suffer. There's no pain to them. It's clear that the GOP and Republicans have been involved in cancel culture. Pretty much in the last few years, if not more, from Copernic to canceling voters. So it's.
I think we should move over directly, as we are talking about cancel culture, to the next crazy story. As far as you are finished yet with your part,
Sure.
Then we go over, please, to segment 5 before. And there's a great discussion, or there's a big discussion, forced by certain media platforms about cancel culture, And there was a big article coming out this week in the very obscure New York Post, but nonetheless, it was a very entertainment article to read. And if you can't do this, I have only some extractions from this, but. There was also discussion in the internet, and it was following a Fox News call, that the Generation X should now step up and save the boomers, or the ideologies the boomers are standing for. And in this connection, Justin Baragona set up this tweet. Fox News correspondent Jillian Turner: cancel culture is spreading like wildfire. There's a call for Generation X to lead the charge to save America from the social media mob. Can they do it? And you can imagine how the reaction on Twitter looked like. Thousands of tweets, and as I noticed, I did not find one single pro-boomer tweet in this. All of them, they were completely laughing the suggestion away. Because if you remember, if you look back, I think you guys are more concerned with this in your past, But even I, in Germany, I knew about what was happening there, because when it came up that some music records were labeled with the infamous parental advisory explicit lyrics sticker, for us here in Germany, it was a trademark. It made the record much more valuable than a standard album, right? Because there was something, we were curious. What's behind it? Why is it forbidden? It made it much more interesting than anything else. So it was kind of a Streisand effect for us in Germany, at least. I don't know how it was in America. I think it was much harder because the pressure was different. Anyway. A hilarious article in the New York Post by Matthew Hennessy, which I checked. He does those hit pieces from time to time. I think he's a seasonal hitter somehow, and he's always the same topics. That cancel culture cannot go on, and that we have to mobilize every thinkable force to fight this. And here's the article. It starts with first it was Huck Finn. Then it was J.K. Rowling. Last week it was The Muppet Show. This week it's Dumbo. It's only a matter of time before Star Wars gets cancelled, and you know it. Will Generation X please stand up? I have something I want to say to you, to us. And then it goes on. We grew up in a country that didn't ban books. We all agreed that witch hunts and blacklists were bad. Censorship was an outrage. The 1980s were not that long ago. Don't act like you don't know what I'm talking about. Well, if I remember back, there was a lot stuff which was fought by the conservatives, you know, be it in the 80s, starting with Ronald Reagan, you know, and his refusal to do anything to help against the AIDS epidemic at that time. He ridiculed it. Just at the moment where one of his family members were concerned, they changed their thinking. But before it was, no, we don't want to have anything to do with AIDS. Maybe it was a punishment by God, and all the stuff I heard from in at that time coming from certain voices in America. And what did they blacklist? Go back to the 70s, you know, when suddenly it was discussed that if you play vinyl records backwards, there would appear a satanic message. Banned, you gotta ban this, you know, and go further, you know, rock and roll is the devil's music, and so on. But I think this generation got too many restrictions. We got a list here a little later. Please show slide 34. There you can see what cancel culture means on the other side, if you want. So there's heavy metal because of its satanic messages. Harry Potter, the same thing, you know. It is not combined with the Christian belief, you know. And I have absolutely no clue why Nike is in it. I don't know. I don't like Nike, but I don't know. Teletubbies, okay, they're ridiculous. Maybe that's the point in it. The Dixie Chick, we know this when they were after George W. Bush, and they were a big discussion. They got canceled everywhere, and it was crazy. And yeah, role play games. I don't know why the coffee automation there. Do you have any information?
Keurig.
Was it?
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
The Keurig. Those were the capsules that you put in.
Okay. Everything should be cancelled. Doom, yoga. I don't know why yoga is in it, but there must be a reasonable reason behind it, right? It is crazy. So much were forbidden or was forbidden, and they are expecting, and I'm also Gen Xer. They're expecting my generation to step up to fight for their restrictive policies, for their restrictive ideologies. I think this is absolutely laughable. And I know we talked about this before. We are nearly the same age, Amos. You're also a Gen Xer. And you said also, you know, what did you say? I will talk to you. Amos, you are Gen Xer. Please stand up and help us.
Oh, yeah, I'm totally, I'll help you out. Come to daddy.
Exactly. You know, it is absolutely ridiculous. And it shows that they absolutely did not get what the X in Generation X means. And if you look at the following slide, you get an idea why it is Generation X. Please go to the 33 slide. If you look at this, and at the generation guidelines defined by birth year, we got the silent generation between 1928 and 45. We got the baby boomers we are actually talking about, 1946 to 1964. We got the millennials, 1981. Oops. Isn't there something missing in between the baby boomers and the millennials? They were axed. The generation was forgotten. They were axed. And this is exactly where the name comes from. They axed themselves out. They did not want to have anything to do with the baby boomer bullshit. And the other argument is here. Who raised the millennials, the post-millennials, the Generation Xers? And they raised it in the knowledge that the boomers can go away, they can go fuck. We don't share their ideologies, and it's absolutely crazy and shows that they're absolutely not connected with reality to come up on Fox News and New York Post, and I don't know on what other media they're having these dreams, these wild dreams. Well, it's ridiculous, you know, and I only can. There's one thing, you know, which puts it. It's slide 36. This is exactly, you know, the other one, the next one. You know, this is exactly the answer you get from us. We are the tape generation, and we say fuck off. We have nothing in common, nothing. And it was very entertaining. And there was one thing. There's a tweet coming from Fresh Socks for My Justice Foot. boomer silver spoon life with union jobs, cheap healthcare, damn near free college tells Gen X we can't afford that's for your generation, as they looted Gen X with predatory lending and used vulture capitalism to loot their own parents. Now want Gen X to save them? Hard pass. It is a hard pass, yeah. And then, yeah, go actually. Colin Kaepernick. Republicans decry cancel culture, yeah. I think it's a desperate laugh he has there, you know. And yeah. And David Duell puts it. Is cancel culture when Tesla fires a worker for union organizing? Or when MSNBC fires Phil Donahue for being against the Iraq war? Or when Texas fires a teacher for supporting Palestinians? Or is cancel culture only for important stuff like children's books and plastic potato? As I said, Jesus is white for those people, you know? Look at all the movies in the past, you know. Jesus is always white, you know. And also democracy has to be white. Otherwise, it is against values, it is against culture, and there we are again, cancel culture, ideologies, you know. And well, we should not buy this because we should not forget in this crazy discussion we are having now more and more over the past weeks, what's going on in the closed doors, in the back offices. There we are seeing what's really going on, and we should not forget that this discussion is also a big distraction from the things which are going on regarding voter restriction. You know, that voters that it would be much more difficult in the future for voters to mail in their votes. You know, so they have to go on a working day to a polling station, which maybe 50% are closed until then, and queue up for a whole day. Well, we should not forget what's going on in the dark, you know. And well, Amos, what's your take?
No, I agree with every word. I think that's and we're gonna hear much more of that stuff. But as a Gen Xer, I guess I technically am one. I don't see the boomers' point of view again, and I just hope we can move on and fix things before they escalate even further, and stop worrying about cancel culture and this whole idea that that conservatives are propagating and saying that it's a Maoist thing, that everybody's like they're trying to crack down on ideas and force everybody into compliance, is ridiculous, because it's not stemming from the government. It's not stemming from any power structure. This is happening from the bottom, from the grassroots, from these companies that have boards of younger people who are finally looking at these things and saying, wait, why are we still publishing that kind of crap, and changing it? And this is organic, and this whole narrative of Democrats trying to destroy American lives and making us the enemy of ourselves or whatever is just ludicrous, and I hope that it's exposed as such.
Yeah. And thank you, Bill Gabriel. He tells us the story about behind Nike. It was because of exploiting cheap labor overseas. Yes, and as he said it, I can remember this also. You know, and the Gen X is a cassette tape Gen, and the turnkey Gen, as many came home to keys to open ours. Just Gen X is MacGyver, and it does it themselves. Okay. Well, talking about bullshit. Let's go on to the segment we skipped. Let's talk about our hope, you know, or the people, you know, we wanted to be our hope. This is why we sent them to the Capitol, you know, and well, it doesn't work well, to put it like this. And here's the latest thingy coming from AOC, and when I watched it, I think I was never so pissed about AOC before after I saw this clip. Please run it.
Let's talk about student loans, because I found something very interesting in this bill. Now, before everyone gets ahead of themselves, there is not student loan cancellation in this bill, but there is a provision that feels like an Easter egg, which I think gives us some hope, because not only are college students going to get stimulus checks that they didn't get last year, but I noticed, and some people noticed, that there is a tax provision tucked away that says if your student loans get canceled, that cancellation, you don't have to pay taxes on that cancellation. Which, in other words, you wouldn't have to, it wouldn't be processed in as though, it would not be, if your student loans get canceled, it will not be treated as though, the government gave you money for you to pay off your loan, so that you would have to pay taxes on that. So let's say you had, several $1,000s in student loan debt, you wouldn't pay taxes on the cancellation for that. Now, there's no student debt cancellation in the bill. So this provision that's tucked in, I think, tells us, if you care about student debt cancellation, it's go time for you. You need to mobilize, and now is the time to organize, to create the political pressure, because in there, tucked away, is almost like a little, someone's paving the path. And I can't claim credit for that provision. If you want, I can go into some of my specific contributions to this bill as a lawmaker. In fact, I will get into one of those a little bit later, because it's part of money that you can get, additional funds that you can get. But progressives are looking out for you. And by the way, this is the benefit of electing a movement of progressives to Congress, because when there's so few of us, if it's just, and this is the benefit, for example, of expanding the squad, because when there's just 4 of us, there's only so much we can do, right? There's only physically so many amendments that we can introduce, and people will say, why don't you do that? Why don't you do this? Why don't you do that? Because we're human beings with 24 hours in a day. And so when you elect more progressive members to Congress who are not financed by big money, who are not financed by lobbyists, when you pitch in, small dollar donations, you get people who are looking out for everyday working people. And so I didn't have the bandwidth on this, because I was working on unemployment, I was working on adding adult dependents, I was working on FEMA funeral assistance, which we'll get into, but we don't have to rely on one person to do everything. We've got people that are willing, the more progressives we get, the more progress we get. And so someone was looking out and included that, which paves the way for us to fight for student loan forgiveness and not have it, hit you on the back end in terms of getting taxed on that potential forgiveness. So that is a very important update on student loans that I think is really important. And I think it's good news. And it's a positive update and progress in the fight on student loans.
I think this is a nugget of shit, honestly said, and a lot of words telling nothing. I was furious when I watched this. You know, AOC is such a waste of skin in politics. I never believed it. I never. When we interviewed her in 2017, this figure there in this clip seems to be a complete different person. She is selling us ifs and whens, and it's a big nothing burger. And she's talking about, we are only 4, we are so little, we don't have any power. And the voters, you guys have to organize to get things done? May I raise a question why AOC was voted into the House? I don't get it. I don't get, you know, this is your word, the Schuspe, you know? To get in front of a camera and come with nothing and calling people for support, for organizing, for mobilizing, and you provenly did nothing with the last 2 chances you had with Medicare and the $15 wage. Shame on you. Shame on you. It's ridiculous. And your body language there, it was so fake. It was so fake. There is nothing left from the AOC we interviewed 2 times in 2017. Nothing. And I'm so disappointed. And I should not be disappointed anymore after what happened since January. At least. It's crazy. It's crazy. They are not progressive Democrats. They are Twitter Democrats. Mouthpiece Democrats. That's all what they are. And I know how if you see it differently, Amos. I think this is absolutely bullshit. This makes me angry. As a voter, as her voter, I would be so pissed about her. I cannot tell you. I don't know. What do you say?
Well, I'm not as pissed as you are. I guess I have a different perspective on it. I do feel that she has something egocentric about her, and she's like even the way she formed this answer. Now, to be fair, I don't know what exactly she was asked in the interview. I don't know if she was asked to talk about her bills or whatever. But the way she formed it, if I was there talking about this provision, I probably would have given credit directly to the person who originated it, or is in to be accredited for it, and not say this was not me. Like it does. It's a weird way of framing it. If you're not like centering on yourself, obviously it's not you if you're giving credit to someone else. So why not give credit to someone else? So this, to me, that's just a little bit of a revelation, a character revelation. But I still think that she's ultimately for the right things, and having funeral expenses paid by FEMA and stuff like that does make a difference to the people who are affected by it.
Okay.
Now,
okay.
she made. Yeah, I don't think that there's just 4 progressives the way she presents it. I think there's more of them, at least 10, 15, like straight progressives, and then there's 100 people in the House in the Progressive Caucus. So not to understate this, but what did you want to say?
Well, forget it. It was. I'm only repeating myself. As I said, I think you cannot approach people like this with a campaign program you had, 2 times, not only 1 time, 2 times, and you did nothing from it, and then calling up people to mobilize. And putting themselves, and they have the power. We know that they have the power. We can count them. They have a certain power there. And to say we are only 4, we are only a few members. what does it say to you? It says to me, okay, if there are only 4 members, okay, then they need more support, but they are not. And to me, it shows they are not connected. There is no strategy at all.
That I don't know, but
where was the
either way.
strategy about Medicare for all? Where was the strategy about the $15 minimum wage?
But yeah,
Where was the
perhaps
strategy?
there wasn't. I don't really know. It's hard to say from outside. But what is clear is that they're tinkering around the edges, where they should be really like full-on attacking and charging, especially with HR1. And I did a program about that last week. There's some progressive members of Congress and of the Senate that are promoting HR1, which is a comprehensive voting reform, which is not only going to address things like transparency in how campaigns are run, what they have to disclose, and so forth, to eliminate possible Russiagate scenarios in the future, and to reduce the suppression of votes, but also to provide public funding, which would and do exposure of dark money and so forth, which is something that is very progressive and very important to us. So this HR1 that's a major bill, and I wish they all had a strategy focusing around that and not around the edges and tinkering with the edges. Just go one by one of these major blocks and try to overcome the conservative parts of the party, such as Mention and Cinema and so forth, by cornering them and passing those. Once you start passing those major blocks of legislation that has tremendous effect, all the tiny little tinkering around the edges are going to fall into place anyway. So that is basically that is really the key. I don't care how she expresses herself, as long as they act in a smart way to bring on change.
Amos, I admire your optimism.
Oh, it's not an optimism. I'm just saying that's what they should be doing.
Yeah. This is optimism, in my opinion, because we have this discussion every time we're talking about this. I have a different approach. I have a different perspective on this. You might in the end be right. That something comes out. But the presentation is awful. And to miss two big chances. With politics, which the clear majority of America agrees to, and getting nothing on the table, I think it is very optimistic, to expect more from them, but tweets and mouthpieces. And this is my opinion. But I know that we will have the discussion also in the future, and I'm looking forward to it.
I'm not saying this is going to happen. I'm saying this should happen. I think that.
Okay.
I think that's my criticism of her and progressives that are now doing these different things is that rather than trying to do incremental little things, and that's something that they themselves said when they were running, to die on these different hills. You have to really push the big acts, even if they're less likely to happen or going to be a huge. Of course, as a politician, it's much more of a challenge. You're going to be wasting all your energy on one big bill that might not even pass, but you're going to inch it forward, and that is much more important than those little bills that will change some people's lives here and there, but in a lesser way. So yeah, so I'm with you on that. I just don't take that much. I'm not that impressed by how she or somebody else presents as much as.
Hold on. Authenticity was one big thing which is important for AOC.
Right.
And it is crumbling, and she's losing it more and more, especially with those fake, strange acts, When there's some, I would expect, they all shut up on Twitter, on social media, everywhere. No Instagram, no Twitch game bullshit stuff, Everybody shuts up until they got something in their hands to talk about.
But then you can go for 4 years.
I'm tired of tweetings, and of all of those clips, and see them failing when it comes to the fight,
But Marcus, you have to also think as a politician, she's under the pressure of producing evidence that she's doing something. If she's running on these major issues and they're not resolved within the next 2 years or something, she may lose an election. So you have to think of it also from that perspective. Her strategies are telling her, tout your own horn, nobody else will, and that's what she's doing.
Okay, she would. I guarantee if it goes on like this, she will lose the election. At least she will lose her progressive basis. Those people who really care. And well, she's not convincing me, and she is losing one of the most important traits she has, and this was her authenticity, in my opinion. And if this goes away, and of course she is now in Washington D.C. She is a politician now. But look back, what did the Tea Party on the Republican side? They said, we do this like this. There's no discussion, otherwise you're out. They put pressure. They were aggressive, and there is no aggression in it. No political aggression, of course. I'm not talking about physical. There is no political aggression in it. There is no power in it. There's no pressure in it. This is only tweets, and this is not enough for someone who was campaigning to fight. This is exactly the point. If she was not promising to fight, I would not say anything. But that's my point. Anyway. Well, let's look at the shortcuts. And what do you say, Amos? Look at the photo. What do you say?
Aside from the fact that Trump doesn't look anything like himself.
No, look at Trump. Look, yeah,
he doesn't look anything like
Trump.
himself. Yeah.
Forget about Putin and Un.
Yes, they're all wooden. That's one thing.
kind of, yeah. But when I saw the photo first, I could not help. First of all, his body measure index, right? He's much too slim. And if you look, if you go now, if you move away from your screen one step or two, and then look at the photo, you will see that underneath Trump, I'm sure, before it was the latest president from the Democrats in the 70s, Carter. It was Jimmy Carter.
Mm-hmm. He kind of looks like Carter here, yes.
And there was only a little badly modeling of his face, and they put the sauerkraut on his head, to make the Trump hairdo, But if you step away, it is Jimmy Carter somehow, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Anyway, the story about this is that they have to remove the Jimmy Carter Trump kind of thingy because it so often get punched in the face and it gets destroyed, and yeah, I don't know how many damage is done to Putin or Un. There were no numbers, but it seems to be a favorite victim of those people who visit the museum, and well, maybe some are only buying a ticket to go there and punch him in the face. I don't know, but I'm pretty sure some people will miss something there in this museum.
Oh boy.
Anyway, yeah, and then you take over.
Well, this is something that happened. Was it this week that it happened? But
yeah,
Biden.
Yesterday.
yesterday. So Biden, here's just a clip. It'll talk for itself. Yikes.
What makes it still presidential is the fact, in my opinion, that he has no toilet paper stuck to his shoe.
Yeah, I say, yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Yeah, and
this is
I think
embarrassing.
I think we should show our memes before, in this connection. I found yesterday, I think it is one of the eldest stair lifts, It is Sedgwick, and I'm pretty sure Biden, when they were established, Biden was already alive, in 1893. I don't know. Maybe he should use this in the future, or Amos put it like this, how it would look like in the future, when he would agree to use a seat lift. This is the next slide. Yes. He could take all the time, and on his way up, he could also think about the policies, and stuff.
Yeah.
Although he's a little bit looking like he's taking it. Okay, let's forget this. The next one is, of course, Fox News will make a big conspiracy tragedy around this, and Tucker Carlson came up. Finally, we have proof Biden is a secret Muslim, and he got caught praying to an unchristian entity. Yes, you can put it also like this. He's praying to someone else. Yeah, Bernie is always there as usual. Yeah. Anyway, all right. What else do we have? Yeah, and this is exactly how I feel. How I look like. I nearly can't get my hair under control anymore. You see this at the edges sometimes. I think in the clip here. Yeah, but the thing is, in Germany, I cannot make an appointment anymore with a hairdresser, and I think it won't happen in the near future as well, because Germany is close to get the third lockdown, complete lockdown, because our indices are rising again, and the British virus, the British form of COVID, is also spreading in Europe and in Germany especially, and we only can hope that no one of us will get the Brazilian version of it, because from what I read, there is no antivirus vaccination working against.
I think you're talking about the New York one. The New York.
No, in Brazil.
Oh, interesting.
In Brazil, they found a new one which seems to be completely resistant against any vaccination.
Here we go again.
And if we can get this, we can close it all.
Here we go again.
Yeah. Next one.
This one also reminds me of me. I'm the guy with the breads. I've learned how to make a sourdough starter and breads. I make award-winning breads and baking my own pizza, but minus the hair bun. I am afraid I can't do that part.
Yeah. The pandemic relief stimulus, Yeah. As I said, you could make it more effective, with maybe giving what the people would really need, right? And,
yep.
Well, yeah. Anyway,
I think we've had this one last time.
This is a comment to what was happening around Meghan Markle, Prince Harry, and all this stuff, and we left it out. Well, I'm not into the royal family that much. Of course, I followed this discussion, and also what Piers Morgan did on the show, and I think in a weird, I can imagine that he and Bill O'Reilly will meet somehow and do a show together. It just came into my mind when he left the studio, because he is the same kind of old white guy, with restricted thinking, in my opinion. Anyway, so much about Piers Morgan and the royal family. Yeah. Amos, Texas.
Yeah, Texas is. It's not just Texas. I mean, we're laughing at Texas.
Florida is also
Florida,
big in the business
Michigan.
again.
Yeah, they're like insane. We'll see how it affects them, but I don't know. I think people are just taking it far too easy. I think the variance is really what people should be paying attention to. We're still not over this, and if Brazil, in New York, whatever it is, but if another strain comes that we're not protected against, this is just gonna inflame everything.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Looking to your neighbor state, Amos, New York.
Yep.
He's 10 times creepier than any of us ever imagined. I'm 5 times creepier than any of you ever imagined. Now he's starting into the negotiating process, and it's just crazy. What is your take? What do your people in New Jersey think about your neighbors?
Well, you know what? It's like clearly he's caught with a hand in the cookie jar, and it's just unfortunate. But he's trying to salvage his political career at this point. I don't think it's doable. So
at least he can forget about becoming president one day.
Well, Trump didn't forget about it, so I don't know. But
okay. In this way, they're similar. Yeah, all right. Yeah, and the next one, yeah. Given my unforgivable remarks, I'll be stepping away from my everyday duties to re-evaluate and educate myself by ingesting antifreeze, sleeping in a box of timber, rattlers, self-immolating, and diving into an active volcano, The Bachelor. Yeah, and the take is you can cancel culture.
Right?
I like it. Yeah, the next one, yeah. By the way, we talked for a long time. We didn't talk about what's going on with the climate change, right?
Yes. Yeah.
We gotta put it on our list again. And,
we do.
Well,
there's news also about it. Not good news, but
yeah. And also, there's the good news. I read before we went live that there is a Dutch company who wants to do their techniques in the Sahel zone in the Sahara, and they want to regreen this area. They also were successful in a part in China, which were complete desert, and they it looks impressing now, the plants and trees everywhere, and it looks great, and maybe it's a little glimpse, of a positive aspect in these shitty times, right?
There's also Israeli technology that's been developed over the last few decades, and that's actually being exported to the Emirates and places like that Israel now has relationships with.
Yeah. Well, Amos, what have we there? The filibuster, yeah. Scorched earth, yeah.
So that's the last statue that people are trying to bring down. And here's Mitch.
Yeah.
Preaching.
Yeah, and I was surprised by his threat, to be honest, right? That he would leave scorched earth, What did he do the last 4 years? Or since he's in office? So this is nothing new. So fuck you, Mitch, and go back under your stone, right? Where it came from.
Yep. And here's Mitch McConnell with the filibuster and without the filibuster.
Yes, yeah.
Pretty much
Das
the same.
Turtle, yeah. Yeah, we have the end, Amos, for this week.
We are
already.
at the end. Yes.
The time flew, right?
But yeah, over the cuckoo's nest.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, good reference. Yeah. All right, guys. Thank you all for watching. I hope you liked it. I hope you did enjoy our program and our talk. And thanks to you, Amos, for being with me. It's a pleasure to have you with me.
Yeah, and thank you, Barbara, Schulze, Jennifer.
Yes.
Dan, David.
The
human love, everybody. Just remember to share our content and join us next week. We're gonna have some great new issues next week, and that's basically it.
Yeah. And to the surprise of all, we have a music piece we are going out with today, and I hope this time it won't get us into trouble. It is a YouTuber, Marc Rebillet. He's French-Canadian, and he's a YouTuber. And a few weeks ago, he broke the 1 million subscriber number. And this guy is hilarious. He calls himself Big Daddy Loop, and in a minute you will definitely know why. And this guy is a little bit kind of crazy. He's also playing in concert halls, big crowds, and he's improvising his stuff. You know, he has some basics he's doing, but I think 80 to 90% of his show are improvised, and it's absolutely hilarious what he's doing. And he brought out a little loop, a little song about his vaccinated attitude, and it's great. And I hope you guys will enjoy this. And if you want to check out Marc Rebillet, go to his YouTube page. He has a lot of stuff, and if you like his music, you will definitely enjoy what he has there.
Before you go, Marcus, did you get your vaccination yet?
Not yet. We're in Germany. We are bureaucracy, you know, and we are failing on every level here, you know. And the leading party, the Merkel party, the CDU, is dropping in the polls. You know, it is absolutely fantastic. And in autumn, in fall, we have our new elections here, our general elections. As you know, Merkel will not be in office then anymore, and it doesn't look good for the Conservatives. At the moment, it seems to be a mixture. It seems to be possible that the next government would be led by the Green Party in connection maybe with the Social Democrats, maybe with the Social Liberals. We will see. And,
hopefully not the what's the name of that party? That
not the AfD. This is the good news. Last Sunday we had elections in 2 states here, in Baden-Württemberg and Rheinland-Pfalz, and in both states they lost about 1/3 of their votes. And this is the only good news. It is still too much who are voting for these assholes, but at least they are losing, you know. And
And we are still waiting. I'm on a list somewhere, but I'm still waiting, and I don't know when we're gonna get vaccine. They're speeding up. They're doing whatever they can. It's faster than they expected. But my relatives in Israel, they've all gotten already, and they're begging other people to come and get vaccinations. So
I read this. The leading countries at the moment is there's one continent. This is Australia. But they did the right things right at the beginning, you know. They had the hard lockdown for a couple of months, you know. They are recovering. New Zealand, Chile is leading with Israel together with vaccinations. It's absolutely crazy, you know. And also the so-called Western developed states, you know, USA, Europe, you know, we are failing badly. And I don't know, maybe I'm dead when I get my vaccination. I don't know.
And believe it or not, Serbia is one of those countries on the forefront. They've used both Western and Eastern and Russian vaccines. I don't know if the Russian vaccine is functional, but they're pushing it very aggressively, more so than other more developed countries, so to speak. So
right. So guys, lots of fun. I wish you lots of fun with Marc Rebillet and his vaccinated attitude. I hope to see you all next week, and enjoy the week. Stay safe. Stay at home if you're not vaccinated yet. And bye-bye.
Bye, guys.
I say this Pfizer Moderna, I got the vaccine up inside my Pfizer Moderna, I got the vaccine up inside my Pfizer Moderna, I got the vaccine up inside my got that vaccine up inside my life. I got that vaccine and I'm feeling just right. Got vaccine in the motherfucking day. Got that vaccine and I'm gonna suck you clear. I got the vaccine, Moderna, I got the vaccine up inside my Pfizer Moderna, I got the vaccine. Got that motherfucking vaccine. Moderna, I got the vaccine up inside my Pfizer Moderna, I got the vaccine up inside my Pfizer Moderna, I got the vaccine up inside my Pfizer Moderna, I got the vaccine up inside my Pfizer Moderna, I got the vaccine up inside my Pfizer Moderna. got the vaccine. I got that motherfucking come on, baby, got the vaccine. I said I got the vaccine. It's a new lease on life, baby. Skipping down the damn street, no thing. I'm taking little spit in the mouth, spit in the dick, spit in my ass, spit on your tits. We rubbing it around, getting down in this motherfucker, baby. Got a vaccinated attitude, and I'm gonna rock and roll. I put the dick in the hole. Rock and roll, I put the dick in the hole. And I'm Moderna, I got the vaccine. Up inside my body, Moderna, I got the vaccine. Up inside my body, Moderna, I got the vaccine. Up inside my body. Oh, baby, nothing you can tell me. I'm feeling good and I'm walking all around this bitch. I got the vaccine. Hey, yo, I'm motherfucking clean. I'm clean. I'm motherfucking clean with my vaccine. Yo, how you doing, baby? You got it?
I got my damn vaccine an hour ago. I got the second dose. You got it. You have to wait 14 days, though, so it's going to be, I mean, I know it's kind of cool. You just saw me on the street, and I just got my vaccine, and you're vaccinated, but we got to wait. There's a gestation period. So it's,
So we can't just fuck on the street? All vaccinated, 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 all vaccinated. Thank you. That's the old vaccinated song. Feeling good, feeling nice, and vaxxed up, bitch. I'm vaxxed. Damn, bitch, what you vaxxed? Damn, you looking vaxxed.